Welcome back, everybody, to episode 116 of the Lookout Podcast. Wow, I gotta stop clicking this mouse when I'm doing things. I am, of course, Meelz, and I am here with a very special guest. And I say very special guest because it's not Jeff. It's not Jeff. Jeff is out being a soccer aficionado. So we are joined here by the person who essentially was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, couldn't make it, but now is fully here. We have LJ from the Big Eyes Podcast. What is up, bro?
Nothing much. I'm still riding off that episode 100 high. So,
Talk about it, man.
I'm doing good. I'm feeling great. If you have
You're
not
part
listened
of pretty much a bulk of them, man. You pretty much were damn near all of them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had to hold Big Eyes down. So, if you haven't listened to episode 100, shout out to the guys at the Black Variant, X and Van, for popping on. We did part 3 of Big Eyes versus Black Variant. We didn't go too off the wall this time because Bill sent the text. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I'm here on the lookout. Finally back. I was supposed to be on here like 7 times and I couldn't do it. So
yeah, well, listen, things happen and life happens, but we're obviously here, of course, more tight in time as we get into it. So many other different things. But since I got you here, since you're more reading manga, I have not read any of the manga that came out today, by the way. So not to say please don't spoil me because I have already idea of what's going on. Actually, no. Did you read anything that came out today?
Oh yeah, I read everything. Actually,
did that Earthchild? Did the Earthchild thing came out today?
More Earthchild, which is, second chapter in. Second chapter, I was like, okay, I really love what they're doing with this story already.
Okay.
I like how they threw us right into action. There is, no time jump, no time skip. Like literally, where chapter 1 ends, we're picking right back up after it. But I love. All right,
so before you continue, I just want to think with Earthchild is. So Earthchild is this new manga that has come out in Shonen Jump over the last, I guess, week. Came out last week. And it is about, let me see if I can gather this from my memory. It is about, actually, you have more information about this than me now because I'm drawing a blank. I know the girl was like I don't know what her role is specifically. I don't think we've learned it in depth of what her role was and stuff like that, but she obviously had some sort of supernatural powers and something that would make people forget if we save them. Something. All right, you just do it. You're better than this than I am.
So essentially, Earthchild, we meet this woman who has these powers, and in this universe, every once in a while, there's a child that is born with some type of telekinetic power, and they call them Earth Children. But as soon as these Earth Children are born, they are like immediately like weaponized. They're used to go on missions, save people and whatnot, and and then after they do their thing, they have a special device that it's real like Men in Blackish, where they kind of start erasing people's memories. And she tried to erase this guy's memory that she saved, and for him, he was so in love with her that it didn't work. And then
give him sci-fi 51st dates kind of thing.
You know what I'm saying? So, they meet, they fall in love. They have this child together, and then she has to go off on this mission that costs her life, but it saves the entire world. And and then this dad's kind of left there with this baby who is also an Earthchild, who he figured out has the telekinetic abilities have been passed on. And so now we're thrown into this story where you got to read the second chapter to really get into it, and we'll talk more about it with you guys tomorrow. But no, yeah, it's a great story. Right now, Shonen Jump is like this lineup right now. Shonen Jump it's looking really good, man. Shonen Jump is looking really good. This is 2 consecutive weeks where they have released a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to see where this story is going for sure.
I'm glad you say that because where there comes new manga, there definitely comes new anime. And you don't necessarily need a manga to have new anime. But when you have a lot of things that get this like hype and stuff like that, like for instance, over the last number of years, we've seen a lot of things that was serialized that ended up becoming very popular and now get anime. So Spy Family, something we've been championing for years on this network, is going to get an anime this year. Chainsaw Man also going to get an anime this year. What else is coming out with the anime this year? I mean, just
my manga of the year of last year, AO Shy, that's gonna get one coming in April 9th, I believe it. First episode drops.
Ooh, okay, all right. So we got so many different things, and it's really like, reading manga is kind of like, at this point, it's kind of like the mixtape scene, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I think that's, to be honest, that is the perfect way I've ever heard anyone explain it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mixtape scene where you see a lot of them put in the grind and a lot of mangaka put in the grind, and we really have to be convinced, like, yo, do they have bars? Do these have storylines? Do you have things like this? And then eventually, once we see them, okay, they're going to get their major label, do their first album come out, which is essentially the anime or something along those lines. And we all get excited for it. And that's what's happening a lot right now. It's interesting now because a lot of mangas are ending, but it's not the same in anime, because I don't think a lot of anime is ending, except this one that we're talking about, I guess, today. But that ended last. But it'll be an interesting landscape, I guess, over the next couple of years in Shonen Jump, of like what becomes popular, what becomes, very, very exciting. I just got put onto a manga. I think I sent it in the group chat. I'm sure you've read it. I'm sure. The Gakia.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking. I actually have not read it yet. You're putting me onto something that I have not tapped into yet. I think, and then I know AD, but AD is like an encyclopedia. So you tell him anything, he knows something about it.
He's seen the hype about it. He was like, yo, he's seen the hype. Essentially, now that if I'm telling him, so I got put on by my friend who was just like, yo, the anime. So one of the assistants who works on Fire Force has this, we've seen a lot of assistants now branch out and get their own manga or anime, something along those lines. Like we saw that with, was it Red Riding Hood at this point? Was it Red Hood?
Hood? I don't, man, listen, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't, listen. It came and it went. That's all I remember.
Right. So one of the mangaka for people who work on assistant to My Hero Academia branched out, got their own manga. It got clipped in 15 chapters. But I mean, I think people liked it. It is what it is. But there's this new one, assistant to the guy who made Fire Force and Soul Eater. And it's really nice. Like, it's kind of like, it's the art is very, very nice. I'll say that for sure. And the story is very intriguing. I think you would like it for sure. I was like, this is right up your alley, to be honest with you. Very vengeful protagonist who's now on the outskirts of society and has to find his way, some shit that you would like. Okay. I really do think you would like it.
You're hitting all the key points here. I love I like people who are are in a revenge status. I like people who are just kind of isolated. I'm liking it. Yeah. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far.
Listen, it's good. I think the artwork is amazing. So if you have it's called I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's either Gachiakuta or Gakiakuta. So Gachiakuta. Damn, for me, who had to use my finger to read when I was a kid, that was amazing. But yeah, so you have that to look forward to, and just so many different things to look forward to, man. Is there anything you're watching? Do you still watch stuff?
You know what? Reading has completely ruined watching stuff for me. I watch the popular things because I like to be a part of the conversation. I like to kind of like keep up with other popular animes that people are talking about, especially when like end of the year comes and I'm like, all right, what's going to be anime of the year? I love to at least be tapped in with what the nominees are going to be. But I'm gonna be real, like reading manga as much as I do and having to be inside the manga verse as much as I have, like watching has definitely taken a back seat. I have really gotten more into watching like anime movies, which is really cool. Like, I went on like a Studio Ghibli kick and I was just like, I'm about to watch every single Studio Ghibli film. And I've been, I was running through all those. Crunchyroll has some pretty good films on there. I had started To Your Eternity, and that is beautiful. God, that's such a beautiful anime.
You're in a different mood right now, aren't you? You're not in it for the killing or the protagonist or stuff. You're in the stories and the cute shit.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Listen, man, when it can't be all killing and anger and violence and whatnot. You know that gets
You're telling me that, which is wild, insane, by the way.
like like it's like all real murderers actually listening to like R&B on their off time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I feel. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just you can't listen to the violence all day all the time. You got to get into the cute shit. You got to be well rounded.
Well, listen, we're about to get in a lot of violence right now because it is Titan time, and we have to get an Attack on Titan, which is we are about 8 episodes into this second part of the season. It is going at a very interesting pace. Initially from the initial episode, Jeff and I have had these discussions on the podcast about like kind of because there was always rumors about the movie and if there's going to be a movie and stuff like that. I don't think there's going to be a movie. I don't think you think there's going to be a movie.
A movie doesn't make sense. I think that's just the big issue here is that where do you place it? Like, where does a movie get placed at? What story are you going to tell? What point does a movie make? You know what I'm saying? Like, a movie doesn't fit this whole story that they're trying to tell right now.
Absolutely. So I think we're going to get to the point where we're currently in the show, and this may be spoilers for a couple of people, to be honest with you. And if you have not read the manga, I'm not going to say skip forward, but I'm just going to say be prepared to be told to go back to read the manga. Because we're currently 8 episodes in. This is the 12 episode, part of the season. So that means we have 4 episodes left after this episode. We still have quite a bit of action to get to and only 4 episodes to do it in, which is about 20 minutes each episode. It's about, we have about like 80 minutes left to tell the rest of the story.
Do you think they do the Demon Slayer thing and just give us like a couple 45 minutes episodes? No?
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
The benefit that Demon Slayer had was, I think, actually, you know what? I don't know. All right, I just want to make sure. I don't think Demon Slayer was aired on television when these things dropped. And I say that's very important because, for instance, there are definitely certain times and time periods and schedules for shows that happen that you can't immediately just bite into 45 minutes out of nowhere without a lot of pre-planning involved. Would it be nice if the final episode was 45 minutes? I hope so, because then that would make me feel not necessarily a lot more safer, because I kind of have an idea of where this story is going and we're going to reach the end point anyway. And I've already read the manga, so I'm already like solidified and all this other stuff like that. But if we do get to a point where we skip a massive amount of stuff, I don't think we're going to get anything additional more, to be honest with you. I think it's interesting because anime adaptations and manga and stuff like that and how it's paced and things can change when it moves from off the page and onto your screens and stuff like that. Even this episode I thought was like very kind of quickly paced.
It flew by. Like I was like, whoa! Like even when the like mid credit or like the mid show, break happened, I was like, already? I was like, I'm already halfway through, right. And then it's like, oh damn, it's over. That's how I felt.
Especially like, for instance, right, like with the Connie part. So the Connie part of this episode, and we get into it, we'll go through it in order and stuff. But the Connie part, right? So the Connie part of this episode, Connie tries to feed Falco to, his mom to revive her, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get to that part. I even thought the Armin part, I guess in the manga, was a little bit more emotionally gripping, with Armin having to deal with pretty much like, I should not have been saved. It should have been things. So I'm going to off myself. And it just kind of breezed by because all that ended with first like 7 minutes of the episode. And I was like, damn, this is kind of crazy, but I understand it. And I think people just kind of you still get the big parts of the story where you're able to enjoy it. And while we aren't able to like stop and smell the flowers a little bit, I still think you get pretty much all important aspects of the story. If this was a Kai, I think this would run in the same format, of like, let's get it beat to beat to beat to beat. But yeah,
That Connie, or the part where Armin and Mikasa are talking, is such a weird part, because you would think, like you said, like Armin is like, oh, like he's talking about how he's tired. He's talking about how he's trying to stop Connie, how he's trying to like keep all this plan together. She brings up like Aaron. He starts losing it. And like you said, you would think this is a more kind of an emotionally gripping part, but it kind of looks like he's like trying to rush the conversation and get out the door. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm trying to just like, come on, like, stop talking to me. I got things to do, And he's like dipping.
Hard to exit and stuff like that, and it's a lot of things like that. But let's get into the episode itself. I mean, beyond just the pacing of the show, which we expected to happen. I mean, it's 12 episodes. There's like a lot of chapters. I thought they actually, I couldn't foresee them being able to tell the story without skipping things. So the next 4 episodes itself, I think, is going to be very, very crucial in how we see this anime, because I don't know if people are going to revolt. I don't think so. If you get to the ending, where people want to see it,
but I think the ending is the ending is the big thing. The ending is the big, like, oh my gosh, this is what we're waiting for. Like, holy shit, like, this is what everyone's been sitting here waiting for. I think as long as they get that, they're fine. I mean, the middle, I think there's one other section that people probably want to see, and that could probably fit into one episode. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be next episode that it gets into. But I don't see a big minus for them for cutting parts out.
You know what minus I could potentially see? Wow, I feel like we're talking like in pseudo spoils, like we're talking around this in a bit.
We are, definitely.
Considering how massive and lengthy a lot of these battles are in the show, the final battle could not be lengthy. It could really not. Like,
all right. So hold on, before I say my next statement, are we making a decision to go full blown spoiler here?
No, let's not go spoiler.
Okay, maybe no spoiler.
Let's save it for then. We'll save it all the way for the end.
All right, so
like, let's talk about the episode.
Okay. Because there's one thing that I feel that they could cut out that I think maybe some people will be upset about, but in when you're looking bigger picture, it won't affect too much. And it would actually probably save them a lot of time and save them a lot of criticism if they don't do it.
I can see it. I know what you're talking about, so we're already here. Don't worry about it. I already know the part you're talking about. So let's get into the show. First point that I have is teams. We talking teams, because we have, I guess, first of all, the Titans are still rumbling. I guess been day and night. I don't know if this is all taken in the course of one day, but the Titans have been walking the entire day.
Their feet hurt.
People are sleeping. It's not even their feet hurt. People are sleeping, and they're like, "Yo, these Titans are still like, they're still going."
Imagine
like,
if you still got to clock in. That would be so suck.
I mean, I would imagine it would be like a day of. I would imagine the government. Well, there is no government. Everyone was turning in Titans. But I would imagine your supervisor at this point would also be like, yo, maybe we want to take the day because our second location just got destroyed. So I got to figure out the whole insurance situation with that. Like, I got to figure out, do we have Titan insurance? We should, considering how crazy it's been over the last, like, all of our lives. But I got to make sure that we get our Titans insurance thing. Is all. But they're marching, they're talking, they're at the beginning of the episode, it's like, yo, are these the last ones? Because like they've been going forever, like ever and ever.
I wonder what formation the Titans are walking in. Like, is it like is it kind of like a 3x4 kind of thing? Are they kind of like blocked in? Are they kind of all the way spread out? I'm kind of just really wondering, what is how did Aaron position these guys in a, like, are they walking in a big circle? Like that plays a big role. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they walking kind of like a a drum line? Are they doing kind of a drum line kind of thing, and they're kind of just like moving around? If you got like a bird's eye view of them, are they like spelling things out? There's a lot of things that I'm wondering about this Titan formation, but they have been walking for a minute.
So, oh, don't mind me. There, my heater's on, and there's cops outside, and all this other stuff like that. But
the heat is on, and the cops are outside.
There you go. Talk about it. Yeah, we find out, of course, we get a little bit more follow up on last week of Hanji and Levi, and sort of how they managed to survive this far, especially with flocking them, looking for them, hoping to kill them and stuff like that. We learned that Levi is really only surviving by his pretty much lust, his urge. I don't want to say lust. Lust is a bad connotation because he's not bloodlust about this. With his resolve due to his responsibility he feels like to Commander Erwin to kill Zeke. So
it's a complete bloodlust that he wants to kill Zeke right now.
No, bloodlust is. I feel like bloodlust is like very.
He wants to kill Zeke so bad right now.
I feel like it's very much so determination. I don't know if I'd call it bloodlust because bloodlust starts. Then you get a little crazy. When I think of bloodlust, I think of Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, or like Stain from My Hero Academia or something along those lines. And maybe because those have to do with actual blood. But when I think bloodlust, I think of someone that's like lusting to kill. Like it's a very like, it's an emotional, and also maybe sadism, masochism type of thing. I think he's just resolved. He's like, this is my duty at the end of the day, and I have to kill Zeke. And he's being held together by, shoestrings and duct tape and all the other stuff that...
he has like half a hand, half a face.
But he's alive. And then, you know what? Hanji says one of the most important things is like, yo, anybody else probably would have died, but the only reason you're surviving thus far is probably because you're an Ackerman. And, because if you were an Ackerman, chances are you would have been toast. Theo McGath is standing there, and he is like, yo, can you dodge a bullet? And Levi's like, yo, I can dodge a bullet, but I can kill a Titan, for sure. And they make the proposition between Peak and themselves. It's like, yo, we have a common enemy. Or at least we want to accomplish the same thing, which is to stop Eren and stop this rumbling and hopefully save the people outside of the walls. Why don't we team up? Because you don't seem to have anything together. We don't seem to have anything together. And we kind of want to make it to this point where we're like, let's figure this out. Peak is involved, and assume she's there. Or assume she's like, with it. Connie's mom. Well, go ahead. What did you want to say?
I'm just saying, like, the game is game. That's what it would have been my stance. I'd have been like, well, he's doing this. Who am I to stop this guy? Like, who am I to be like, you know what, Eren's in the wrong here. I don't think he is. I think how Flock is going on about it is kind of fucked up. I think how Flock is going full blown, like he's on like kind of Range Rover activity for Eren right now. But
I feel like Flock is definitely like basking. Well, guess we're going to see random parts of this episode in terms of how people are responding to essentially the rumbling, and everyone is responding in their own different ways. Obviously, our core six or a team of people are like, yo, we've got to save the world, and there's other people like, yo, fuck the world, we good. I mean,
that's my viewpoint of it. Eren's really on some like, listen, man, it's us versus them. End of the day, like it's a you know what I'm saying, like it's like someone coming and saying they're gonna it's either kill RNC or kill the world. I'm like, well, guess the world gotta go. Like that's how I feel about it. It's just kind of like,
I'm assuming in your position you would be like, all right, I guess the world is finished.
No, yeah, it's cooked. You're done. I'm gonna be like, well, it's. I mean, if it's either us or them, is what it is. Yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. You shouldn't have been talking shit. And like, Eren got to do what he got to do. In the day, they put these people on this island to like die. They put these people on this island to suffer and to live in this like ignorant state. And it's kind of, and once your eyes are finally open of just like, whoa, they did all this to us, like all this to us, you know. And it's like, obviously there are people, you know, other Eldons on the other side, but it's just like they didn't get casted out, you know what I'm saying, and put on this island to be eaten by Titans and have these like live on this sphere of Titans. And once you finally figure out the history of everything that has gone on before, Aaron's probably pretty much like, man, F the history. Like, I'm living in this present moment now. Like, the history kind of really doesn't mean much to him, I'm sure, in terms of just like, end of the day, like, this is where we're at. This is where we're at now, and this is how I'm going to figure out, like, where my people and my island and in the place that I'm from can be okay. And I'm like, can I really argue against him? Because I know that I would have probably felt the same way. I'm just like, I don't care about the history of how these Titans got here, of how everything's kind of evolved to this point. We're at this point now, though, where I've been watching my mom and my family get eaten by Titans every day since I was a kid. And now it's kind of like, once I finally figure out that these people who live across this water have been the ones who have, you know, set us on this island to die and suffer, I'm like, oh yeah, everybody got to go. Every single one of them.
So with that, we transition from the story to Connie's mom. Or it's not really the Connie's mom story, because she is not even a player in this. Like, it would have been, honestly, she probably should have died.
Oh yeah, she should have. I don't understand this Connie mom storyline. This was
like, not that she should have died, like, in a, like, but I just think at this point we need to end that kind of road, unless whatever happens at the end happens at the end. But I think we need to end that, pretty much, like, take her out of her misery kind of thing, because she's been sitting here as a Titan for maybe like 4 or 5, 6, 7 years at this point. She's been chilling on her back. She can't feel nothing. She don't react to nothing. If a human comes by, hopefully something falls in her mouth, but otherwise she cannot do anything. So the plot is that Connie, you know, is surprised. When he's surprised that Falco is this well-mannered, well-tempered, but still incredibly gullible little boy. But he's like, oh, we're going to, you know, this entire plot has been, oh, I'm going to take you to the hospital and we're going to figure out your concussion and all this other stuff like that. And then they end up in a village, and Falco points out during this that it's Rococo Village. He's like, yo, this is Rococo Village. And in my mind, I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? But it turns out, I guess Connie was saying his plan out loud or something. I was like, what? How does he know that? He was like, yeah, you were talking about this village yesterday. I was like, Connie, come on. You are not a villain at all, man.
Oh, yeah, no, Connie is a horrible villain. Connie's the type of dude to take his phone while doing a crime. Like, that's the type of guy Connie is. Connie is not built for this. He's not. And I understand that he wants to save his mom, but I think this Connie mom thing is taking up so much time.
Yeah, I mean, well, I agree. So essentially the jig is they're like, oh, okay, can you help me brush this Titan's teeth? I'm like, this is very weird for the situation that we're currently in. Like, to brush a Titan's teeth. Or Falco, I would be, if Falco were black, I think he'd be a lot more suspicious about what's going on. And I think he would. Because I'd be like, all right, you know there's a rumbling now, right? Like, there's people about to die, and you worry about brushing.
There's so many other things going on.
Like, I still hear them rumbling behind me, but we're like brushing it. It's the worst excuse. And then Armin and Gabi zoom in. They're like, wait, he's gonna feed you to a Titan. To which Connie, you know, eventually puts, you know, his giant sword through his throat, and he's like, yo, don't touch me, or else I'm gonna throw this man into or kill him or whatever. I was like, you're not gonna kill a Titan. Relax. You slit his throat, he turns into a giant Titan. What are you gonna do next, Connie? Like, come on. But Gabi and Armin show up at the right time. Armin zooms in, and instead of trying to get Falco, he himself tries to jump in the mouth of Connie's mom. Wow, crazy.
He's a freak bowl for that one. I was like, you're living different right now, Armin. You gotta relax.
So he tries to jump in the mouth, essentially, but like, yo, at this point, like, if we're really trying to do this whole Titan thing, sacrifice me instead. And in the manga, so to kind of do this, to kind of expand on things, in the manga, it's a lot more kind of drawn out. And I think it's because he has a lot of guilt over the Irwin thing and the thing that Connie said a couple episodes ago. But since the pace of the show has to be picked up pretty quickly, we don't get a lot of that. But, you know, he tries to jump in the mouth. Connie saves him. And they're like, oh, you know what? Connie's like, oh, I have been tripping. This is crazy. And then it's resolved. Because pacing.
Because of the show. Listen, man, Connie wasn't built for it from the beginning. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, what was the point of bringing us through all this? Like, we know Connie's not gonna actually sacrifice this kid. We know Connie isn't really, like, obviously he wants to save his mom, and I feel that's in a weird way, that's kind of like a character trait for Connie. It was just like he cares about his mom, he wants to bring his mom back. That's his own personal goal and resolve. That own personal goal and resolve is like they're trying to tie it into the main story. And I'm like, let's be real, who really cares about Connie this much? We're like, I wonder how he figures out this mom thing that goes on that we figured out, like, what was it, 2 seasons ago that we figured out that his mom was just there chilling. Like,
listen, everybody's got a story. I think really the only person who doesn't have any kind of emotional ties to anything is Jean, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But he's a really like rational, like regular adult kind of person who's just like, yeah, I don't really have any emotional ties. Like, this is not a story of redemption for me. I'm really just part of this ride, and maybe I hold things together. But other than that, yeah, I'm just kind of here. So that's kind of resolved, and that's like the first 7 minutes of the episode or something along those lines. Then we get to everyone else, and how's everyone else doing in this world that we're currently living in. So we get to see Mikasa Stan herself, Luis, who was injured, I guess, in all of this rumbling, you know what I'm saying? Who's very much so injured, and now she's in the hospital, now she's on bed rest, now she can't really do anything, but she has Mikasa's scarf. And Mikasa's like, bitch, hand that shit over. She reveals that Eren initially wanted to throw the scarf out, and Mikasa's like, no, I need that scarf. That scarf is me. And you know what? I'm really trying to, in the context of the stories that I was playing out now, I'm really trying to find the reason why as to why she would suddenly want the scarf back. I think it's because of a lot of mixed emotions with her and Eren, and not really trying to let him go, despite what he's doing right now. I don't think he wants to let her go, and that scarf symbolizes a lot of their bond and relationship, and him taking care of her, and you know, this underlying story that that's currently existing. So I guess that's the thing of the scarf, but we get a couple seconds, a minute or two on the scarf. That's Mikasa's thing. Let's end that.
I'm 1,000% sure the scarf is more important than Connie. The scarf is more important than the okay. Last thing too on the Connie thing, the absolute hilarious moment of him and Armin having this conversation, and then they have a frame where they show like his mom is like hanging upside down like Spider-Man, and you can just like see her face, and they're trying to have this like serious conversation. He just got their like head there. I'm like, how is this not funny to anyone? Like, are y'all trying to be very like intentionally funny here? Like, she's just hanging upside down in the background, and they're just trying to have this conversation about being a soldier and his mom and this person that he's trying to be.
I also think the ironic thing about this conversation, well, not the ironic thing, but the thing that's kind of breezed over, is that Falco finds out that his brother's dead. Like, in the midst of all of this, like, very quickly it happens. I think Gabi tells him that his brother's dead and was killed by him, and he turned into a Titan and blah blah blah. Also, we haven't got Falco as a Titan yet, which is very, very interesting. I'm interested to see how that plays out in the next 4 episodes. But I mean, he could just turn into a Titan at this point. But in the manga, there's a lot more into it. The city is celebrating because they're not going to die and everyone else is. So there's a festival going on, maybe some live performances, definitely a lot of food. Everyone's eating. I have no idea how Armin, Connie, Gabi, and Falco got back in time to enter such a festival. But they got back. They got back in time. And so the festival essentially, they're eating. Oh my god, Armin brings up Annie. It's like, yo, I'm pretty sure Annie defrosted. Annie's sitting right next to him. Wow, what a coincidence. How does that happen?
It's like poof, magic. Like she's there.
And then within the next scene, Annie, who was chilling with chilling with homegirl's name.
The homegirl that called her weak, had her in the clutch last episode.
I like her too, so that's kind of Hitch. There we go.
Hitch. There out for reason I was gonna I kept thinking like Rich. I was like, it's not it. Hitch.
So she leaves a note and says like, "Hey, going with Armin and them. Thanks for coming by." To which Hitch is like, "Damn, I can't eat all this pie alone. Damn, I need a boo."
Alone.
And that's and that's how then they're teaming up from there. We switch over to the next scene. Flock is being an asshole. I love the scene because Onion Capone really kind of gives it to everybody in the scene, where while he's like has a gun pointed to his head, he says he calls them xenophobic shits. He says, even you should know how insane indiscriminate killing is. He's essentially saying like, yo, you guys are the worst hypocrites that I've ever seen in my life. You guys are tired of being targeted, yet you're here targeting us because we're different. And we not even pose a threat to you anymore. The world is about to end. We pose no threat. People are teaming up side by side. I don't know if you saw a couple scenes ago, but people are teaming up. And we could all be working on the same team on the same side or something like that, but you're holding on to this grudge because you support Aaron Yeager and we support Zeke Yeager, kind of. And Onion Capone is like, yo, I chose to save y'all because I thought my country was going to get saved by this entire thing. But now my country's going to be toast anyway. Like, I'm going to be the only black man left on Earth. Me. That's it.
Oh yeah, bro. A bunch of light-skinned babies are coming soon.
No, he was like, yo, take me out. He was like, yo, kill me now. I can't deal with racism. I can't burden the shoulder of every racism thing all at once. Like, I can't. He's like, yo, just take me out. And John pulls up.
Dang, he really got to be the voice of the whole race. You don't know what his politics are or anything.
He got to teach everybody about MLK. He got to teach everyone
about
George Washington Carver. He got to teach everyone about, the cotton gin and the traffic light and everything of the sort. And that's all on his shoulders. And he's like, yo, at this point, kill me now, because y'all pussies anyway, and y'all are kind of hypocrites. So do your thing. John pulls up, of course, ready to shoot them. Shoots 4 shots into the ground. Flock is like, yo, what's going on? And then over in the background, we see Peak pulling up in pure Titan form, washing people, just picking them one by one, and grabs John, Onion Capone, and Yelena in her mouth. And they head back over to where Hanji and Hanji, Levi, and Magath are, which you have to wonder in kind of in this instance, which is my thought, is like, how did they know where they were at the exact time they were, and how did a Titan get through the city without being seen or heard or anything of the rather?
Yeah, man, it's it's weird how this whole plan comes together, because there, like you said, there's a lot of like logistical things where it's like, how sneaky were you? Like, how did even like Mikasa just disappear? They're like, oh no, where's she at? And they're like, she was just right next to me. Now she's all the way downstairs in the basement with the, I love how he also like orders her to kill the Titan.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, kill the Titan, Mikasa, because I cannot do it. You're the only one here that's probably good enough to do this. And he's like looking around. He's like, it's not there. And then they're downstairs. I think this also goes to the point we were telling earlier. Like, this all felt so rushed. Like, it all felt so fast. It was just like things happen.
Because I don't want to use the term rush, because rush has a bad connotation in the anime community.
That's true. That's very true.
I do think the pacing is very, very quick with the show, because they have a lot of things to fill in, and we don't have time to add any fabric between point A and point B. We just got to get to point A. We got to hit every mark, and then we're gonna get to the end. Because at this point, you're not gonna get. We'll get into our spoiler section afterwards. Like, people who love spoilers, stick around. We'll get into
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we're not going to hit certain things, so we just got to get from point A to point B. And you know what? It's going to be just like this podcast, because we got to get to point A and point B. We have the team now. So Annie has joined the team. It's very RPG-ish. Of Connie, Gabby, Falco, and Connie. So I love the way they pull up this last scene. As soon as I read the chapter, I reread the chapter like a week ago just to kind of understand where we were going with this. And I was like, oh, this is going to be the end of the episode. I love it because Reiner wakes up with Annie kicking him in the face.
Oh, she kicks him hard as hell too. Like, that was like Randy Orton, like, punt type kick.
I remember this kick. What's going on here?
I kicked his hard.
He's not even really phased. He's not even like, my teeth is loose, my face is concerned, like all this other stuff.
He's knocked out too. Let's get this like she kicked, like, that was like getting caught cheating type, getting woke up while you're asleep. Like, that's how she hit him.
I feel like he's the only one who got a good night's sleep during all this calamity. Like, he's the only one who's just like, yo, I was in a deep fucking sleep. Like, yo.
Hey, Reiner's always coming up like that for some odd reason. Like, he's always the one that's like, I'm finna go take this like depressed nap real quick while y'all go handle this. he's like, I'm not, you know what, guys, I'm sad. Let me just go take this nap real quick. Y'all come get me when you're ready. He is definitely letting his mental health get in the way of battle many times this final season.
I agree. So the final words of this episode: "There's no time. Let's go." To which Reiner says, "Where?" To which Connie says, "To save the world." And that's when the rock music should have kicked in. Like, this is if this was a movie, this would be the part where we're getting into the final act of the show, the true final act. So I'm imagining we're getting into the final act of kind of everything that's going on throughout all of this. So, I mean, stay tuned, because I mean, even next week. So next week, in the preview for next week, there, it looks like there's a discussion in the forest and stuff like that, and there's a lot of talking and stuff. So it'll be interested to see kind of how that goes. I don't think there's going to be a season 5 or anything like that, but I mean, that's kind of the episode. This is the episode. I loved it because I'm ready to kind of get into the final act of thing. I think we're in the home stretch of how this show ends. We've recovered characters. We've got Reiner, Annie, Connie, Gabby, Falco, Peak, Hanji, Levi, Commander McGath, all on the same page. Aaron is still tearing up the entire fucking world. And we're going to see how this goes.
I love how Peak stays in like Titan form. She just never comes out of it. She's just kind of like, yeah, I kind of like it here.
Yeah, I think, she's one of the very few who can just manage to do that. Like, she's good. Like, there's nothing to worry about with her. So here's what I'll say. This is now the end of the episode for the people who don't want spoilers for the show. If you have read the manga and you also have the same kind of discussion with us about how this show is going to end, stick around. But if you're not, thank you guys for tuning in. Follow the Lookout rncradio.com. RNC Radio, listen to the Big Eyes podcast. We have a new episode of Mount Silver coming out this week as well. Stay tuned. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, spoiler territory now.
Oh yeah, full blown spoilers. Let's get it. This is the part that I love and I'm waiting for. This is the best part.
How do you think? Let's do this in maybe like 10 minutes. How do you think we're ending this show? How do you think? And what is staying out of this show? What will not be seen in the final 4 episodes of this?
Okay. I don't know what's not going to be seen at all. I really don't have an idea what they're going to cut and what they're not going to cut. I think it is definitely going to be a absolute sprint to the end in these final 4 episodes. I mean, obviously we have they have to go get the boat.
Mhm.
and do all that.
Really? We really need to get the boat?
They gotta go get it. They're probably gonna show that. I'm telling you, that's probably gonna be like an episode. I think the big stuff comes is when they finally
I
get
think
to
they're just
across the
gonna end
water.
up in the boat. I think they're gonna end up in the boat.
Just end up in it. Do you think they're gonna take away the whole fight scene?
Yeah.
I mean, Flock gets shot though. Flock dies in
There's
there.
there's no time for it. Like, there's literally no time for any of that stuff.
But I mean, they don't have to do. I mean, that could definitely be a half a episode thing. They gotta show him at least getting at least dying though.
So here's important parts we have to show. You have to show Falco turning into a Titan.
Oh yeah, for sure, that's gonna happen.
He has a little mini arc of his own where he can't control really. I mean, he ends up in a Titan, but then he ends up becoming like a flying Titan at the end or something along those lines. That little bit of development, it has to be shown that how he turns into a Titan. I'm
also
not sure.
Just because Falco and this whole him becoming a Titan thing was such a big part of this whole final arc and final act of him wanting to become a Titan anyways.
I don't think I don't see, that's the part where I think we're losing in the anime of him wanting to become a Titan. I think he's just going to end up turning into a Titan at the end out of necessity or something because he has to help save everybody. Unless these last episodes are like 2 hours long or something. But we have to get that. The Azumobitos returning to the series, I'm not sure if they're coming back, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm sure.
I'm feeling the same way.
They have a lot to do with the boat. They have a lot to do with a lot of different things. They could be shown, but I can't imagine them being shown.
Nah. That's once again, that's one of those it's like bonus extra shit. It's like if they throw it in, cool. If they leave it out, that's fine.
Put it on the DVD.
Yeah. Put it as like a cut. Listen, put it on the extras when the season comes out on Blu-ray.
Absolutely. What else do they have to show? So they also have to show Eren. They absolutely have to show this. The scene of Eren as a kid, freedom. That panel that's like pretty much like one of the most, I guess, memorable panels leading towards the end of this thing, as he's the bliss that he's experiencing and the freedom that he's experiencing as a kid, as he's destroying all these other cities. Like he's destroying that little kid, destroying the little kid's town, all these other stuff like that. Like they have to show. I think one of the episodes has to be dedicated to Eren and the rumbling and what it means for him.
I think another thing that's really important that has to be shown is that when Armin and Mikasa go into that little realm thing and actually talk to Eren.
I don't think that's going to be shown.
But I think that's important. I think that's just as important as him as a kid and him, because I that whole moment, because it's such an emotion. This story is centered around them. Now what I was saying earlier though about what I don't think needs to be shown or could be cut out is all the Titans from futures past.
Oh nah, they gotta show that. Like it has to be shown. Like every time.
But do they? And do you understand of like the critiques and the things that could happen if they fuck that up?
It's gonna be critiqued anyway. I feel like this is gonna be heavily critiqued anyway because they haven't missed anything major yet, but we're about to skip a lot.
We're gonna skip so much. And it's kind of like you're gonna skip so much just to show us a bunch of Titans from the past.
Mm-hmm.
But is that a payoff? Is that like a good trade-off from what they could cut?
You talking about during the final battle?
Not from like the final battle that they're probably gonna cut. Like there's so much that happens though. Like they get in, they drop in. Whatchamacallit, Zeke is there. You're obviously gonna have your Zeke and Levi moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably gonna actually take like 5 minutes.
The final battle is so wild because, like I said earlier in the episode, it's going to be wild considering how lengthy a lot of these fights are.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so
this is supposed to be quick now, but I don't think there's going to be a movie. I hope there isn't a movie. I hope there isn't anything that comes afterwards. I really hope that we don't get anything just dedicated to this. Like, either do it right or don't do it.
No, there's no benefits to a movie. There's no benefits to a movie,
Yeah.
like, at all. This does nothing for them. And I'm not even gonna say that. The reason why I would hate a movie is because it would be such a like lateral move, because it doesn't really do anything bad per se for them either. It's just them wasting time.
I think one scene that's going to be definitely in. I mean, it's during that like mini fight, so there's supposed to be another fight in this season before we get to the final fight, which I don't think is going to happen, obviously. But that's also a couple places. All right, so we're in big spoiler territory now. Do we get Hanji's death?
Yeah, we got to get Hanji's death. Hanji's such an important character to the series. Taking out Flock's death, fine. Who cares? I think people have been wanting Flock to die anyways for a while.
Yeah, no, but I think satisfying if he died, because he's lived. It's kind of weird how he's lived this long. Like, to the story purposes, now he has a place in the story because, despite everything that has happened, he has somehow managed to live.
Well, in the impeding Eren defeat, I think like Eren being defeated, like for Flock, that's essentially dying for him. You know what I'm saying? Like he rode for this guy for so hard just for him to end up dying. Like, I think Flock living with that, bitter taste in his mouth is enough for fans. Hanji's like a legit beloved character.
Right.
I think her death actually kind of means something. Like her sacrifice means something. All mm-hmm. of that actually, she actually means something much bigger to the story than Flock ever does. So her death has to stay in it. For sure.
Whew. We have 4 episodes, man. I'm interested because to me the final battle
it's a sprint. It's going to be an absolute sprint to the end.
That final battle needs to be at least 2. Because we have to do the final battle, and then we have to tell everything that happens afterwards.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way.
We have 2 other episodes where we kind of have to figure out all the stuff that we're between now and all the stuff that we get to before the final battle. Things will be cut out. People will not be happy. I'm almost sure people won't be happy.
I really wonder why they made it such a short season, especially knowing how much they got to cram into it.
I think it's because...
I'm pretty sure it's a business decision. I'm sure it's
right.
It's more business than actual the storytelling of it. But
right. I think they're doing their best with what they kind of have in the story thus far.
Or do we get an original ending?
See, that's what I've been thinking of too.
I am like, do we get an original ending? That is a very, very that's a real possibility here with 4 episodes left.
It's been in my brain for a very long time.
As soon as they said 12 episodes, I'm like, oh, they're going to. I was like, they can definitely pull a curveball out of anywhere.
But here's the thing, though. Based on how they paced the show prior to hand, it would not have been like before in the first part of season 4. If they told you, oh, the next 12 episodes, we're going to finish it, you'd have been like, oh, okay, because based on how they paced the first half of the season, they managed to fit a lot in. I think the only couple of chapters that were like that needed to be like played out in full was the declaration of war episode, which was kind of just like from top to bottom. There we go. But they've done multiple chapters in episodes. So based on that, I was like, oh, okay, they were doing an average of about 3 chapters per episode. Whether everything got counted in, some things got cut out, some things got sped up, some things got moved to other parts, fine. But now the second half of the season, it might be. I'm thinking original ending, to be honest with you. Like,
So then that brings up the thought of what does an original ending look like?
everyone coming together and
Like,
everyone
are we getting a power of
people living.
friendship ending where like they all
Well,
like right before Eren like kills everybody, though he like sees Armin and Mikasa and he just reminds himself of like these are the people that I want to be with. I
n-
don't really care, and he stops
no,
everything. And are
I
we too
do
far
think
gone from that?
I do think him talking to Armin and Mikasa telepath telepathically um, will still happen because that's very important. But um, I also think some people who die may not die.
That would suck. I gotta see Zeke's death. I think, and it's only
I
because
think
I
no,
think that
Zeke for sure gonna die.
yeah,
Is for sure.
I need Zeke's death
I'm talking about
because it's
Hanji
such.
and
Oh yeah, Hanji and yeah, I mean, oh yeah, for sure.
Flock
Those
and
are in the air. Those are toss up deaths. Zeke's death has to happen. I think that's really, to be honest, that's the best part of the whole final conclusion because you could just like even in the manga, the panel where his head is flying off, you could just kind of feel the sense of relief that Levi has. I'm like,
yeah,
job's done. Like
right. And
I
they
can
spent
go
all this
chill somewhere.
time. Yeah, they spent all this time promoting this actual like beef itself. It's got to happen that way. Um, so yeah, I'm interested. Where I mean, at this point, everyone's working as teams, so they got it to that point, and at the end, they're all working as a team. So, quite frankly, they could literally just kind of like step over all the other stuff, and we get there. But the internet is going to be very mad.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, they put
They're going to
themselves
take
in
it
this
all.
position though.
Why do you say that?
Um, because I'm just like, if you know that you're gonna be, my issue is that if you know there's 12 episodes, right? Like you said, like this one episode was like one chapter, and like there's a lot of things in this episode. It's like I'd rather some of this stuff get cut out and be kind of like whatever than like why wouldn't this episode end with them already kind of like, all right, we're about to attack the docks to get this thing. Like that's where this episode should have ended at. And like, but like we're getting the whole festival thing and whatnot. We're getting this and that. I'm just like, there's so many other things that could have been cut out even before this, like the episode beforehand too. It's just like there's so many drawn out parts where like we could have these last two episodes could have easily been crammed together.
I think it's because Annie plays a large part in the ending, and then also you have to tell. So you have to tell where Annie comes in, but then you also have to tell how they all join back together.
Yeah.
You have to tell those are minimum. You have to tell it to get to any kind of ending that people have a chance. Especially with Annie, because you didn't want to leave her frozen for the rest of the series. That would be
No,
terrible.
but I'm saying though that there is definitely a way they could have introduced Annie back in a way that was like, all right, she's back, she's joining the crew, she like everyone whoop de whoop wop de wop, and then it's like,
I don't know if they would have done that. It's like, yo, you back in the clique.
like you know what, like man, hey, she's here. Because my thing is though is that I don't her kind of just jumping back into the story and jumping back into the crew would it have made like it would have still made sense because it's not like even throughout the story they've talked about how much they still got love for Annie. So it's kind of like you don't there's never really a moment where you felt that they had any love lost for her. She was just broken out of the thing and then just kind of been like, oh damn, she's out. All right, cool. Like let's go get her and like let's go. My boy Armin. Armin had his feels for her.
I think
Armin would have
based on
definitely
what
talked everybody into it, anyways.
based on what we've seen, because they did tell the Annie story, it does make me think we're going to get the part of the ending where everyone's reunited. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because since this was such a part of the story, it'd be weird if they dropped it. Like they told that part of the story 5 episodes before, and then they dropped it. So, I mean, we'll see. How about this? This is a proposition. When this anime ends, we'll hop back on and can talk about how this show is terrible and how it was ruined and how it will never be done. We'll talk about that.
All right. Yes, we got to reconvene when it's all over, because I have to know, because if we do get an original ending, and the original ending ends up being better than what was in the manga, and that's canon, I will have no complaints.
People will complain because there's
people will complain. I won't complain
of their faves that has been taken out. People will absolutely complain. Oh
yeah, definitely. Anime fans are hard to please, anyways. So
we'll see. So this has been the spoiler section. Shout out to you guys who have stuck around. You guys obviously have read the manga, or don't care about the show. So thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, you can still follow The Lookout at The Lookout RNC. You can still listen to this on Lookout on RNC Radio. You can, of course, listen to the Big Eyes podcast, which Jamal is on every week. Episode 101 coming this week. Shout out to you, TM 101. I love it. And yeah, stay tuned.
We got a special guest too on 101, so you definitely want to be tapped in on Tuesday.
I love it. So you have that to look forward to. We got 4 more episodes. I can't believe we've done this for this long, thus far on a weekly basis, but here we are. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.